take a simple chord, turn it into a chord progression, turn that into a full song. I'm just going to be making a demo. I'm not going to be finalizing each instrument that I'm going to be recording, just a heads up. This is episode 5 of recording an album at home. I think now I have about 7 songs that I want to put on this album, and I at least want to have 10. And so we have like 3 more to work on. I believe I've only showed you guys like 3 songs if I was doing, or no, maybe 4 songs if I was doing a song per episode. But I just want to catch you guys up to speed. With this one, this is 7, I think. For gear today, I'm going to be using my Fender Player 2 Series Jaguar. And then for an amp, I'm going to be using Fine Classics plugins. I really love using Fine Classics plugins when I'm just kind of coming up with ideas. Because let's say I'm out somewhere or out of town for the weekend or something. I can just take my laptop and I have a whole bundle of effects, and it comes with 3 amps. And so anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to show you guys the chord, and I'm going to show you how that chord evolves into a full song. Hopefully you find some sort of inspiration from this video. So I'm going to be standing up doing this because I feel like I sit too much, especially when I'm editing a lot. And that's not good. I get a lot of questions of you guys asking me what tuning do I use. And I don't use any strange out of this world tuning. I always tune either E standard or D standard, which is basically a whole step down from your standard E. It's an E shape, but it's just in D. So, however, I will still be naming the chords as if it was tuned to E standard. Hopefully you guys don't get confused. I was just sitting around and I discovered this chord right here. It's an A. Oh. It was tuned, but then I was doing shit like this. It's like a sus2. It's an A sus2. It's an A sus2 with an added 7th. Am I making shit up? So anyway, I was attempting to go for that chord and I accidentally went like this. It sounds like a suspended sort of chord, right? And then I started humming this. Then I went back to 1, which is going to be an E. And this is also an E sus2 also, I think. And then I was like, nah, that doesn't really sound good. What if I went a note up? So I was like, okay, I already hear a vocal melody. I was thinking about how I'm going to start it though. So I was like, why don't I just kind of like, what if I went sus2 to a major 7th, right? And then I made a decision to keep that same chord progression for the chorus. But we're going to have to change it up because it's going to sound way too repetitive. And the way I like to change things up and to make chords sound a lot more fuller is to mess around with different voicings. So instead of, if this was our chorus, I decided to go. And just kind of mess around with intervals, but I can also add to those intervals. So if I went, and I could go back to that original chord that I wanted. And then go right here. But I want to add to that so we can go. So this is how it's going to sound. This is how it sort of evolved, at least the chorus part. And then as far as the vocal melody, and we got to go back, right? We have to go back to the original chord progression, which is still 4 to 5, 4 to 1. We need a different route getting there. So I figure we can go to a D. And then back to 1. And then back. So this is how that part's going to sound. There also needs to be some sort of junction from the verse to the chorus. Now what I did was I went, did one of these, which is, was that diminished? Something like that, right? Because then we can find some relief in that 4 chord, which is our A. You know what I mean? Because it's one of these. What else are we missing? We need some sort of bridge or some sort of break, right? That second part around after the second chorus, I was thinking we'll just stay on that 4 to 1, but we'll make it a little bit more tighter. So I think that's pretty much it though. It's going to be a really simple song. Production-wise, I just want to keep it sort of raw. I am going to overdub the rhythm guitar, so it sounds a little bit more fuller. But I feel like these sort of chord progressions and adding these voicings, like you can definitely get away with just being a 3-piece band and playing something like this because those voicings fill that empty space. For example, if I was just playing those 2 chords, A to E, without those voicings, I don't think it sounds bad, but I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's more that can go on. Watch. Versus good things can happen if you accidentally play the wrong note or something. It sparks an idea. If you guys are interested in what I do with the other instrumentation to add to this, then stick around because I'm going to start laying some instruments down. I'm going to use some sampled drums from Hertz Instruments, and I have an idea for a lead. I'm gonna steal it from a band called Destroyer. It sounds very similar, so, but I mean, like, people have been kind of stealing riffs. At least I'm acknowledging it, and I'm not trying to say, oh, I came up with this completely, you know. I feel like that sort of lead fits this perfectly, and I'm going to show you guys that in just a bit. All right, let's open up Hertz Instruments. We need something like a straight beat, like boom, ch, boom, boom, ch. That's what we need. And what we can do also is we can lower the hi-hats. All the way up to about 4 minutes almost. So I re-recorded this part right here just because I messed up somewhere around here. This song might even be a throwaway song, who knows? So now that we have our synthetic drums and our rhythm guitars laid down, let's move on to the bass. I'm gonna keep the bass really simple. I'm still gonna be using Fine Classics plugins for this, rather than just going DI. We're just gonna use Ampli. I don't want so much gain. We're gonna boost the bass. We're gonna boost the mids a little bit. The bass is gonna be all the way up. Boost the mids a little bit, treble, and I think that's about it. That's all I want for the bass right now. Maybe a pick. I'm gonna use the pick so it's a little bit more trebly. All right, and now for our last piece of instrument, the lead guitar, and then after that I'll probably do some vocals. Listen to Destroyer. That's the artist's name, Destroyer. The song is called Bad Arts. If you listen towards the middle of the end, you're gonna hear this guitar solo. I'm letting you know right now that I'm taking that guitar solo, gonna use it for this song. So that way later on you don't say, hey, you straight out robbed this person. I'm telling you, I robbed this guitar solo. I'm doing it out in the open, I'm telling you. So just a heads up. And then, okay, yeah, and then after that we will go ahead and do the vocals. I already have some lyrics written out. I might have to tweak a couple of words here and there to make it fit, but I just had kind of lyrics sitting around. And that should do it for our demo. What I'm gonna do is copy paste this guitar part right here, and then we can just add a little bit more spaciness. Yeah, we wanna make it nice and like smooth, so we want like a lot of distortion. I'm gonna take out the, I'm taking out the green machine. I'll do like a close-up of this, and we're going to probably go a full. Let's add verb vault. We're gonna go shimmer. And we're gonna add this towards the end. Actually, I should lower all the instruments because it's clipping. I should have done that shit a long time ago, Willie boy. Yeah, let's use a different pickup. Lower this a little bit, pan this way, this one this way, and let's try it again. Overdub this. So I played at a different octave, and we're using the bridge pickup for that second lead. I'm gonna go ahead and start structuring this. I mean, it's already structured, but I mean as far as marking where the verse is, the chorus is, all that stuff. So let's do that. And then I'll start laying down the vocals. I'm calling it the ransom right now just because that's a word that came up in my mind when I was writing this. well, coming up with the chord progression. I find that's usually what happens. I don't know how you guys, how your guys' process is, but like if I'm writing a chord progression and I'm humming, words will just start kind of coming out. They don't make sense, but that's how I start like building around that idea. Start building around a couple of words, around a chord progression, or just a chord, as you just seen. And that's usually my process. So I don't know, I just called it the ransom or ransom for now. I don't really know what that means. I don't know what any of this means, but we're going to just go along with it. Sometimes it makes sense later on and not really in the moment. So I'm just going to kind of take advantage of these ideas that are coming to my head, and I'm just going to regurgitate them in a respectful way, of course. I need a different outcome. I need another year. Just tell me what's the problem, so I add it up to you. Vocals have been recorded. Let's go ahead and listen to them, and then we can also just EQ them a little bit so they can stand out and not be so muffly, like muffled sounding. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I just tell me what's the problem, so I add it up to Let me know what you guys think, and if you're interested in any of the plugins that I used today, I do have discount codes in the description box down below. See you in the next video.